Name of the game is effortless sales, meaning they are buying, you are not selling. Welcome back to episode 5 of this mini-series. In the series so far, we've essentially built the foundations of what it looks like to become a category of one and build a lifestyle business that can, build up to $30,000 per month, and gave you the entire blueprint of what that looks like. In episode 2, we spoke about how you can become undeniable and really giving yourself permission to make that decision that you want to become a category of one and lead your own little micro movement. Episode 3, we spoke about how you can create the offer and basically an offer that can sell itself and create certainty and trust and confidence, and the indoctrination series, which is basically like a feeder towards people working with you. Then we spoke about in the next episode the omnipresent growth flywheel and the proximity effect, and how you can use those in combination to build trust and get inbound inquiries and scale. Now we arrive at the topic that most people feel uncomfortable about, which is of course sales. And I think sales has maybe one of the worst reputations in business, because most people hear the word sales and then think about pressure, or like there's some form of like manipulation, persuasion, objection handling, closing techniques, bloody fucking blah, like all of the nonsense that these gimps spout online. And basically that you're supposed to try and convince somebody to do something that they're not ready for or not ready to move forward. But that's not what I believe sales is or should be. Anywhere fucking close to that. In fact, I don't think sales should even feel like you're selling at all, like whatsoever. I believe, based on my last 5.5 years experience, the best sales conversations happen when somebody has already decided that they want help. The best sales conversations happen when somebody already has trust in you, when somebody already understands their problem and how you've been able to provide them the solutions to these problems, and they understand your methodologies or your processes or your frameworks, and they've already somewhat largely made a decision that they believe that you are the right person that can actually help them. Because at that point, they're not being sold. They're buying. They've already made that decision. And there's a huge, significant difference between those two things that I've just been explaining. Because when somebody is buying, the conversation feels easy. It feels very natural. You're very relaxed. And it's like fuck all pressure. It's really like no pressure whatsoever. They're asking questions because they're evaluating their next step, but not because they're skeptical, not because they're feeling some type of resistance or uncertainty, not because they need convincing to do anything. And if you've ever experienced like one of those kind of conversations, you'll know exactly what I mean, where it just feels effortless. They arrive knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, your methodologies, your frameworks, your processes, your way of serving people and helping them to achieve results. They know exactly how you help people. Like, that's a really important thing, so they can make that decision that they feel aligned and it's a fit to them. And most of the conversation feels not even really like a sales conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's just like a normal conversation with a person that you're already really well connected to. And it's really just about, right, okay, cool, I understand this. How do we get started? That there is what you should always be aiming for. not how to get better at selling, not how to create better buying conditions. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes so many service providers and coaches and consultants make is they believe that sales is the thing that creates clients. But I actually don't believe that. I believe sales is simply where somebody confirms a decision that they've already been moving towards for themselves. The real work happens long before the call. That's what you need to understand. And this is where most people get stuck and struggle to get paying clients on a consistent enough basis. They spend all of their time trying to improve their sales scores. So, need to learn and improve new scripts. Need to improve how I can objection handle. Need to improve, I need to become a better closer. I need to be able to close better. Trying to improve their conversion rate. So I'm at 20%. I need to go to 30% or 40% or whatever it may be. Very few people stop and ask the most important question. Why are people arriving to a conversation with me unconvinced in the fucking first place? Why are they arriving in the conversation with me uncertain? Why are people not fully understanding who I am, the problem I solve, how I solve those problems, what my solutions are, and the methodologies of my offer? Because if somebody arrives confused, then the sales call becomes difficult, because you have to then educate people on the call. You have to explain everything. You have to build and establish the trust. You have to create the certainty for them. Then you have to deal with the objections. You have to try and overcome the fears. And you have to help them to believe in you. And you're trying to do all of that in one single conversation. Don't know about you. Sounds like hard work to me. Sounds fucking exhausting. Not how I want to do things. It is completely unnecessary to keep operating in that way. I genuinely mean that. Because most of the time, the problem isn't because of your ability to sell. The problem is the environment that you're creating before the conversation. The reality is that buyers and the way that people are buying has changed. People are more informed than they were previously, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, so on and so forth. They understand coaching. They understand sales funnels. They understand online businesses now. Nobody's a virgin. Okay, they've all been out there. They've all bought services before. They've invested money before. They may have had some good experiences, but many people have had bad experiences, not such good experiences, which means a few things really. So they're no longer simply asking, do I trust coaching or mentorship? They're asking things from a much more personal place. Does this solve my problem? Do I believe this particular person can help me and this will work for me? Do I believe that this particular person understands me? Do I believe this helps me? Do I trust in this person and how this person does things? Does this feel safe to me? Do I feel ready for this? And that's a very different conversation, because it means the role of sales has changed. So the old way, and look, it used to work fucking amazing. And it was simple. Generate some leads, book some calls, get people on the call, educate them, do the pitch, deal with some objections, present the offer, go for the close. And it did work, but it's not working the same anymore. The new way is completely different because how people are buying are different. So we need to build trust, build belief, build certainty, build buying readiness, then have the conversation. The core should be where it shouldn't be where the sale is even happening. The core should be where the decision gets confirmed. And that's where what I call effortless sales begins. Now, there are 3 main things that make this possible. So the first one is what I call covert sales. And despite the name, there is absolutely nothing manipulative about it. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Covert sales is simply a process of teaching and educating and providing value in a way that naturally creates buying readiness. Most people think content and selling are like 2 separate things within the business. They think that I post content to try and attract attention, generate some leads, send some DMs, for a few weeks, attract some leads, book some calls, and then suddenly once I'm on a call, I'm in selling mode. So selling doesn't start happening until somebody's in a conversation with you or on a call. There's a shift, okay? Because when you shift from teaching to selling, your energy shifts. The intention changes, and often people feel that switch and, trust gets broken. So what if you were instead chose to stop believing that content and selling are 2 different things and just understand they're the same thing? So it should provide value. It should create movement, like some forward movement. It should create and it should help somebody to really understand their problem on a more deeper level. Help somebody to understand why they're stuck. What's the root cause of their problem? Show them and help them to see a better way. Help somebody to believe that change is actually possible for them. Make sure that whoever is paying attention to you, help them to understand your methodology, your frameworks, your way of serving people, your way of solving problems. Help somebody to understand how they can naturally arrive at a conclusion that I need help. I need some support and I can't do this alone. You're not trying to convince anybody. You're helping them to think. You're helping them to see. You're helping them to make a decision for themselves, because the best sales content doesn't tell people what to do. It helps them to reach their own conclusion. It's service-led content, and it's covertly selling people on wanting to work with you because you're just serving them through the content. You're showing them what you're all about. Now, the second part is pre-selling. And if there's one lesson I would like you to take away from this episode, it's this. The sale should largely happen before the call, not during it. Your goal is very simple. Aim for 80% of the deal, 80% of the sale completed before somebody even speaks to you. Through your content, through your positioning, through your proof, through your offer, through your indoctrination series, through your omnipresent growth flywheel, through the proximity to you, through your authority, through your messaging, your expertise, your wisdom, your knowledge. By the time somebody reaches a conversation with you, they should already understand everything about you and what you do. So the problem that they've got, the solutions that you've got to those problems, the methodologies you use to deliver outcomes, what the customer's journey is going to look like when they work with you, what are the outcomes that they can expect, what's the offer, what is the risk reversal, what is the safety mechanisms in place. The call is no longer about having to convince anybody. It's confirming. You're confirming fit, confirming timing, logistics, confirming the commitment, and then simply collect the payment and conduct the onboarding there and then. That's it. And when you achieve that, something incredible happens. Sales become easier, like dramatically easier, but not because you needed to become a better salesperson, but because the person came to the core and you helped them to become a better buyer. Now, the third thing that you can add to this is cash campaigns. And this solves a problem that almost every person I speak to experiences. People are interested, but they don't move forward. They watch, they consume my content, they engage occasionally, they show interest, they say they'll come back, give me a month, 2 months, whatever it is, and then nothing happens. Not though because they didn't want the outcome. There was positive interest in who you are and what you do. Not maybe even because they don't trust you, but because you gave them no reason to make that decision today. And that's why campaigns are such a powerful element of this. Not because they create any sense of pressure, but because they give an opportunity to create movement and take advantage of something. So it's basically a clear opportunity with a clear outcome, a clear and communicated time frame, and an invitation to move forward. The campaign doesn't create demand from nothing. Obviously, the campaign converts demand that has already been built. And what I mean by that is through your content, through your offer, through the indoctrination series, through the omnipresent growth flywheel, the proximity effect that happens once somebody's in your growth flywheel. And the campaign simply concentrates that attention and gives people a reason to decide. And that's a very important distinction, because urgency isn't about force. It's not about pressure. Urgency is helping somebody to make a decision. Pressure is trying to force one. But when you can put all of that together, something powerful happens, because your content is creating a deep sense of trust. Your offer is what creates the certainty. Your indoctrination series creates belief in you and what you can do for them. Your omnipresent growth flywheel really showcases your authority and creates a real strong resonance to you. And the proximity effect is what creates the familiarity. Covert sales creates buying readiness. Pre-selling creates conviction. Cash campaigns create the momentum. And then sales become so much simpler. Not because you're a world-class closer, but because the person arrived ready. They're not buying. They're buying, you're not selling. Okay? And that shift changes everything. Now, before I finish for today, like I like to do at each of these episodes, is I just want to reflect on a few questions. Okay, so I just want to ask, how much of your current sales process relies on you convincing people? How much of your content is intentionally creating a buying readiness? How much trust exists before somebody reaches a sales conversation with you? How much certainty exists before somebody reaches that conversation with you? What percentage of your sales happen currently before a call even happens? What would happen if your sales conversations felt more like an onboarding conversation? Because I think you'd quickly discover something. Sales become so much easier when you are speaking to a buyer instead of trying to create a buyer. And that brings us to, this is going to be the last episode actually in this series, because in the previous episodes, what I've taken you through now, it's how to create an offer that sells itself. You know, in the other episode, how to become a category of one, how to build a lifestyle business. We went into how to build an indoctrination series. I covered how to build, the omnipresent growth flywheel, how to use the proximity effect. And today I've taken you through effortless sales. So the final episode and the final question, some of you may or may not have, it's how do you put all of these pieces together into a business that gives you good money, purposeful work, and genuine freedom. A business that doesn't consume your life. A business that doesn't require endless hustle and force. A business that can create, substantial, meaningful income, but simultaneously protect your time and your energy and your lifestyle. That's exactly what I'm going to go through in the final episode. So I hope to see all of you there. And as always, I appreciate your time today and hope you got a lot of value out of what I've just shared.